All right, so now we're getting to the last emotional need out of the top exploration needs, where we need support, like a swing, like that adult is behind you, just supporting you as you go out and you explore. And as adults, reparenting, we want to support our own exploration in a very compassionate and kind way, where we're listening to ourselves, we're listening to what it is that our emotions need, what we are feeling drawn to, what we want to explore, and no longer deny that of ourselves, but now make room for it. We might not be able to do all the things, it might not be practical in that moment in time, but you still allow yourself to find a way that maybe you take an art class, maybe you go and play, and you start doing the things that fuel your soul, that are healthy, well, and best, and in your highest interest, and in the best interests of all. So let's look at the fourth emotional need. Now, as the child is going out, you're using up a lot of that emotional fuel going around this circle. And when you get to this end, you get this empty light going on that says time to refuel. And when that gets activated, it turns on our attachment needs. And now the swing is coming back. And what we need is that embracing, like, yes, I am here, all is well. So the fourth need here is called welcome me. And welcome me is where our hellos are so important. Hello, honey, I'm home. And by greeting one another. So when we greet one another, we walk in the door and we're like, hi, hey, it's good to see you. And you see that delight in their face and they're happy that you're approaching them. This communicates a warmth, a yes, I am here, you're welcome to come to me. However, if that is rejected, like you walk home and the person's busy and they're like, yeah, and they don't turn or acknowledge you, then you might find that you get hurt or upset. Or perhaps you've gotten into the habit and the pattern where people are coming and going in the house and nobody is saying hello and they're not saying goodbye. And when that happens, we've created an avoidant attachment where there's not a proper relational attachment going on in that relationship. It's just people are just coexisting with one another. So to heal that, it's very important that we make a point to say hello. When I was learning this, or actually when I was teaching it one time, I was having a hard time with my son. And as I was instructing how important this was, I heard in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't done that with Jacob in a long time. And he was in middle school at the time. So I came home and normally I'd walk home, you'd hear me upstairs. And then as time went on, he'd come up for dinner or something like that. I didn't make a point to seek him out and say hello. So that week I went down his room. He was doing his homework. I bent over, I kissed him on his head. I said, hi, honey, I'm home. He's like, oh, hi, Mom. And then I went up. And so I did that for a few days. And all of a sudden, he was so affectionate and so connected with me. And it repaired the difficulty we were having at that time. If you've done any sort of relationship work, couples work, and you've done the Gottman's couples therapy, they often say that you need to have a 10-second kiss. That when you walk in, to make sure that you are embracing each other and you have that warmth. So as little kids, when we came home from school, or if our parents picked us up, we needed to see their joy and delight in us approaching them. But often, if the parents were on the phone and they didn't acknowledge you, or you got in the car and they were just like to the side and you just got in the car, closed the door and they went on, like they didn't even look at you or hey, how you doing? It hurts and it's disruptive. So it breaks that connection and that secure attachment. Now, as adults, we are reparenting. So this is where we want to acknowledge that that is a need that we have that's hardwired in us. So even if our children are not doing it, our partners, our friends, we need to make sure that we do that. Because that's us bringing our best self to that circumstance and that situation. We are no longer waiting for the world to do it right. We are taking the effective action. So when you come home, instead of going, oh, they're not doing this with me, or a friend and do this with me, you do it. Be that in your world. Be that for your loved ones and your partner and your friends. Be delighted and approach them and hello, and just really make a point to say your hellos. They're very, very important. The hellos are very important, and the goodbyes are very important. So how was that for you? Did people show joy when they saw you? Did they welcome you? Or did you just kind of come and go and you talk if you cross paths, but there wasn't really that interacting? If there wasn't, then again, that becomes an emotional need that gets turned off. And when that gets turned off, then we don't do it for others. We just don't even recognize, we just kind of come, go, and it just is not on our radar. And then people may get upset when we don't do that. And then we think, well, what's wrong with them? Like, why would they get upset about that? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And that's because we've become numb to it and we've turned it off. So we want to correct that, welcome that. If someone says they're upset because you didn't say hello, then make a point to say hello. Just do your best. You're not responsible for their feelings, but you are responsible for being the best version of you in the circumstances. So that's what we're moving towards. That's what we're doing in emotional sobriety and healing these things. So now we have completed the top part of this circle of security. And in the top half, these are our exploration needs. We needed support. And as we went out into the world, we got I'm watching you, I'm delighting in your exploration, I'm teaching you, and I'm welcoming you. And these are needs that we want to attend to, and we want to allow ourselves to receive. So if people are wanting to give that to you and you feel really uncomfortable, we want to work through that and let them. So many of you watching may be like I was, someone who was really uncomfortable with people giving to you or helping you. And when I learned this, I discovered that by letting them help me and give to me, I was giving them the gift of loving me. I was giving them the gift of being able to give a gift to help somebody else, which we know in research is some of the most impactful things we can do to improve our health. We call it good deed therapy. So it's good for them and it makes them feel good and it feels that they're involved in your life. So think about if you have a friend and you want to give them a very special gift and you really put a lot of thought in it and you go out and you get it and you're excited. You can't wait for them to receive it. And then you give it to them and they open it and they go, oh my gosh, you got me a gift. And they're like, yeah. And then you open it and they're like, oh, I love it. Thank you so much. And it just feels so, so good, right? But imagine the other scenario. You go through all that. You're excited. And you go to them for the gift and they go, oh, no. I'm sorry. I get my own gifts. I'm not comfortable receiving gifts. Like, no, I won't. How deflating, right? It will crush us and we'll be like, what? No, I really want you to have, oh, no, why would you do that? Or then they keep going on. Oh, I just feel so bad that you got that for me. Like, please don't feel bad. I mean, I gave it to you because I wanted you to feel joyful and happy. And they're like, oh, I just feel so awful, so bad. So when people communicate that, they're doing the opposite of what the intention is. So as we are aware of that, what we want to do is correct that in ourselves and allow people to give to you, allow them to love on you. Because when you do, you are giving them the gift of giving and you are giving them the gift of loving. So even if it's uncomfortable for you, you're helping them, you're being very giving. So that's something we can correct and it's you can do it. I'm now able to do it. It took a little practice to help myself through that. Once I saw it that way, it was much easier for me to receive and to allow people to help. And again, the reason why I wasn't comfortable receiving and I didn't allow people to help me was because of those childhood wounds where that wasn't happening in the way that I needed and wanted. So not all the time, in case my family's watching this. Like I had a lot of generosity in my life, but there was times where there were times that I had wounds where I did need certain things, and it wasn't there. So there could be many challenges in why we don't receive, but it is part of that programming. So it's our shark music. We want to heal it. All right, so that is summarizing the top half, and now we're going to go to the bottom half.